Hey, look, you keep your promotion, I'll keep my humanity. There's two ways to do things. I'll do things my way, and I'm sure it's going to work out.
What do you think the next generation of GTM leaders are not prepared for?
How valuable do you think the CRO role is? I had people commenting on things that they had no idea about. Everybody promised that outbound would work with AI, stuff like that. And then guess what happened? Lo and behold, it didn't work. The caveman is afraid of the spaceship. Either the CRO role is going to die or it's going to be replaced.
When you think about the way world sees you today, what part of the real story do they not see?
I'm very chaotic. I'm a very normal human being. I'm incredibly anxious. I live with imposter syndrome. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration.
Most GTM conversations are the same. More tactics, more frameworks, more recycled advice from people who have not been in the arena for years. Today, we are not doing any of that. Today, we are not taking practical tips. Today, we are breaking all the rules. Because the truth is, most people in GTM do not have a tactics problem. They have a thinking problem. They're following playbooks they don't understand, copying leaders they should not trust, and outsourcing judgment to frameworks that were never built for their reality. And our today's guest, Saad Khan, is one of the only operators willing to say it out loud. He believes instinct is a skill. He believes context is more important than any best practices. And he believes most advice is given from the finish line, which is why the people at the starting line feels lost. This episode is not about how to send a better email or run a tighter forecast or GTM. This episode is about the operating system behind every great operator. The part no one teaches, no one writes about, and no one admits matters. If you have ever felt like you are doing everything right, but something deeper is not clicking. If you have ever felt like you're playing someone else's game instead of your own, this conversation is the one you have been waiting for and you can't miss this. Let's get into it. Saad, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Long time coming. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. I don't think so. I've chased a deal for 3 years. But yeah.
Hey man, enterprise deals is a bad joke. No, I'm glad we finally made things happen. I've known a few. We've been connected to similar circles for a long time as well. You worked with one of my coworkers, one of my best reps, Dave, as well. So I have heard nothing but great things. We're also part of the SDR leaders community. It's kind of like by association, you kind of know people, but you don't know them. So, it's good. It's good to finally do this together.
Yeah, in a long time. I think we got introduced by Ryan about a year ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, almost a year. And so I worked with two of your reps, Ryan and Dave both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't directly ever work with Ryan, but like through LinkedIn, creating a lot of content mentoring calls and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I'm grateful that he may have said things that it may have come across that we worked together. Not.
Oh yes, I remember now. So you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I kind of mistake that.
No. That's okay. It's good.
Mhm.
Like that's why I create content so that on LinkedIn so that people just know like value, quote unquote value. So yeah.
Yeah, I do have a few questions around that. Anyways, I want to start today on a topic which is not tactical. I want to start with you as a person, not the operator. People see a very defined version of you like the way I did, but I want to step behind that for a moment. And I'm going to ask you, when you think about the way world sees you today, what part of the real story do they not see?
Somebody said to me once I had a conversation with somebody off of LinkedIn, they're like, we thought you'd be really buttoned up and like straight. I was like, is that the image I give off?
I had the same image. I'll not deny that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I should. Well, I think the reason for that is I really want to be known for a certain few things, and it's not want to be known for a certain few things. I want my work to carry the weight, but that's the thing. I've never kind of leaned into showing that much of my personality. I'm very chaotic. I'm a very normal human being. I'm incredibly anxious. I live with imposter syndrome. I think that keeps me going. I actually grew up in a sales family. My dad and his brother ran a sales business. And I just saw the intensity sometimes that I promised myself that I'd never want to get into sales. Like I'm until the end of university. Lo and behold, here we are. I've also messed up a lot. And I truly didn't think that I'd be able to break certain molds and doors. So yeah, the passion and like I would say I'm definitely a bit intense, comes from past failure, motivations, and a combination of that littered with imposter syndrome as well. That's me.
That's a deadly cocktail, I must say. And you said you were not chasing sales. I mean, the saying is what you're chasing is chasing you, but in your case, it was the other way around.
Yeah. I always, honestly, I was a huge soccer nerd. I wanted to work for and a marketing. I just like I'm more of a marketer than a seller, Rahul. I don't think the degree defines it, but like I went to university for a marketing degree. I wanted to be in ads and social media strategy and things like that. But subconsciously, I was always selling. I was a social chair in my fraternity. My job was to get sororities to come party with us. Just in university, I was leading our kind of like our marketing community, and my job was to just be a presenter, sell, just get sponsors. And so subconsciously, I was always kind of doing things. I have a quick story on that. My first ever hustle was me getting hustled. Well, so my dad's company, they distribute Epson and Pixelon printers, cash machines and stuff across Pakistan. I used to go to my school library and be like, hey, instead of you buying new cartridges, give me the cartridges, I'll re-inject it from my dad's library. Just pay me a fraction of the cost. But if only I was using that money for good. My best friend Abid at that time, my father didn't let me buy Pokemon cards. So he would hustle me. I would hustle the library and he'd like package these cards for way expensive than they needed to be. And I'd use that money on that. Yes, got hustle, but learn how to hustle as well. Yeah, so that's a little bit of background there. And I was just enamored by YouTube videos of soccer boot shoes and things. Just there was just something about capitalism and consumerism that really latched onto me. And that sounds weird to say, but I think it's true.
Explains why you went to the US.
Yeah, yeah. It's another reason why as well I went to the US because you know this as well. Just growing up in Pakistan, India, education is good, but just like you're kind of limited by the sort of opportunities you may want to get or the lifestyle. Almost everybody in my family went to Singapore or Canada for education. Fun story. I didn't want either. I wanted to go to the UK to become a chef. That was me growing up, just watching aside from soccer stuff, watching BBC Food, just National Geographic food channels, Jamie Oliver, Ainsley Harriet were that's the world I was in, which is really weird. I was a weirdo when it comes to that.
Are you good at cooking food?
I would like to say I'm pretty good at cooking. I am better at knowing about food now. Like this with our lifestyle, it's so difficult to find time. In my friend groups, I say this, whoever hears this, they will validate I am the food guy to the point that I have these obscure recommendations and I turn non-believers into believers.
I hate cooking food, so that's
Yeah,
the reason I'm always drawn to people who love food.
yeah,
In my family, I have a lot of people who love eating food. I
yeah,
don't even love eating food. Like I think I eat just to live, not the other way
yeah,
around, like a lot of people do.
yeah. You can guess I live to eat, so that's where all my money goes. Unfortunately, but I'm kidding. It's fun though.
Interesting. Tell me what part of your personality or your life that really shows up publicly but has shaped you the most?
I am an anxious person and overthinker, and I think I learned how to channel it the right way after knowing how not to channel it the right way. So if we meet in person, the besides maybe I intentionally the side of me that you see on LinkedIn is intentional. I'm intense. I'm a yapper. I talk about things. I will debate my friends. If they say something and I know they're wrong, I'll pull it up on Google and be like, hey, you're actually wrong. So a lot of people don't love that, but I'm also very soft, very caring, I'd like to think. So I've kind of found ways to get away with things. Just, sounds really weird to say. Maybe manipulative a little bit, but not actually. I think that's the version that people see all the time. Like I'm the same. Maybe the childishness doesn't come across through the mediums we see people see me, but in real life, I'm just a very honestly very normal, very curious, definitely incredibly empathetic. You've worked with some of my ex team members. Like that's how I live. There's a story there. I used to work at a company where it was aggressive micromanaging. People were getting fired, things like that. It was a very bend over culture and just listen to the bosses. I was one of the only ones that didn't. And then a rumor started going around that one of the directors was intimidated by me because she thought one day I'd post something on LinkedIn. Then there was a weird moment where I was kind of being interviewed for the position that I already had, and they were framing it as a promotion. Long story short, the director, I presented a full promotion pathway plan and things like that. And I was like, I'm going to turn C players into B players. I'm not going to worry about A players. They manage themselves. In A players, there's like A minus and A plus. A minus are the lone wolves, and A plus are not the lone wolves. They're going to make sure that everybody is happy while them being happy. And I kind of presented that. I'm like, I'm going to focus coaching there. B players are just like so like they know they're good, but holy shit, why can't they just need so much pushing? She basically was like, she said, you're way too nice. Like, if I were you have to think about the business. If I were you, I'd get rid of the C players. That becomes our expendable churn motion. I just focus on the B players. And I remember saying this to her. I was like, hey, look, you keep your promotion, I'll keep my humanity. There's two ways to do things. I'll do things my way, and I'm sure it's going to work out. And I think that story is that has that's me. That's worked out in my favor. It's also worked out in a lot of others' favors, I would hope. And to summarize, just lead the life. I lead my life, but if you're in a position of power or leadership responsibilities, then just find good people and put them in greater positions. It really comes back to you.
Why do you think that worked in your favor? Because I can see where she was coming from, and we all have worked in those organizations, right? Where most organizations kind of think it that way, but you kind of did the opposite. Why you did the opposite? I'm sure that you have your own reasons, but why do you think it worked out?
Yeah, there's so much more underneath that, right? Because like, and this is with all due respect, I think the way we're taught how to live life is by those like these box rules that it's like, oh, just do this, just do that. But the people that are doing unique things, exciting things, different things are literally breaking through the mold. So here's another story. I went to a pavilion dinner, my first ever. This is when I was working at Dooley. For the first time, I'm in a leadership position where I'm getting recognized and all that stuff. And instead of my VP of sales, my company sent me. So sitting right next to me was Butch Longwell, one of the chief operators of Pavilion. One of my ex-bosses, we worked at Clio together. And then he hired me at vendor Wayland. He was there as well. As the dinner is starting, I'm giving a long-winded answer here. I'm going to come back to that story, but this kind of validates that. As the dinner is going on, everybody's talking about, oh yeah, I've had a 5 million exit, I've had this, I ran this like 2 million real estate business, and they're all going in a circle, just like nobody asked for this. Everybody just like one-upping one another. After 4 or 5 turns, it would have been me. I tapped Butch on the shoulder. I was like, Butch, I haven't had any exits. I'm like, but I do have a Foo Fighters cover band, and I like to DJ on the weekends. What do you like to do? And he started laughing, and he's like, oh yeah, I play the piano, etc. Let's start a band. And I said this to him. I was like, Butch, tell me this. I feel like sales leadership is the best passive income. You make your team happy. They make your customers happy. Your company is happy, and you get all the credit. He's like, let me say another version of this, Saad. And he is the one who said this. He said the key to success in life and sales is find good people and put them in greater positions. If you're ever down, these people that you've uplifted, they're always going to have your back. And then he kind of was like, hey guys, so this is what we're talking about. And then the entire room went around and said something similar.
Profound.
So then, so this happened a bit later, but they at this old company when this was going on was my team was hitting their numbers, their targets. I've always had this really cocky belief in the work that I do. If I don't, then who will? And we were losing despite the fact that we should have been winning. The person that was the VP of Sierra, that company, he came from a company I'm not going to name. This is all public. It's all there. The person that hired this person at this last company had a public apology in his resume saying that, hey, so this person is the ex-CRO of Workday. That's all I'll say. The chief head of HR at Workday that hired this person at Workday, I'll send it to you after the call, in his resume for Workday, has a public apology, responsible for this, responsible for that. And then in brackets, by the way, I was also responsible for hiring this person. HR eventually got to him. This person got. So I had known all this. I was like, I'll be fine. There's a lot going on over here where, I'll do things my way. So it wasn't senseless belief. It was, let's test the waters based on some facts that I know. And I think that was kind of, had that not happened, Rahul, had I also quote unquote bent over, excuse my language, I don't think I'd be where I am today, honestly.
Thank you. I think a lot of what you have shared, first of all, it's all great. I think these are good. I think within the last 20 minutes, I think I've got so much material to talk about for the next 6 months, I can say. All right. That's so much good content, first of all.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being truthful. Thank you for sharing, the vulnerable side, which I think we have never seen. Like I told you, I had a different version of you. I'm like, hey, this guy probably has too much attitude, and I get that a lot. So I'm like, dude, Rahul, you get the same thing. So out of all, you should understand. Maybe that's not the true picture. But then I of course spoke to Ryan back in the day, Dave back in the day, so I got to see a different side of you. But I can see why people kind of see that, and I can see where you're coming from. And on that point, I have a follow up question. You have
Mhm.
built a reputation for clarity, structured thinking, and you have been pretty successful in what you do. These
Thank you.
things are earned over years and not months. What were the early experiences you feel that which would shape the operator you have eventually become? You touched base on some of them already, but I'd love to go deeper.
Yeah, I think it all starts with none of this would have happened if this one thing hadn't happened, which is my first ever role at Clio. Clio, we sold to lawyers. Everybody in leadership and in sales was like around the ages of 35 or below or something like that. And we used to joke that we're bonded by a trauma of selling to lawyers. Incredible culture, incredible sales training. Just every single thing. That was my first taste of sales. And I was like, and tech sales. And I was like, wow, this goes against anything I've ever learned or have been taught. One person that onboarded with me, his family was sick. He left the company for 8 months and he came back walking in one day. We're like, oh, we thought Eric is gone. And he's like, oh no, Cleo was supporting me. Just these things were going on. So they were like, yeah, come back. We'll put you in the CS team. And I was like, you can do that. Like, wait, hold on. This happened? Wait, humanity works? I was like, wait, what's going on? And the second thing that happened there was, Rahul, I started my career as an AE and then I became a BDR. Wherever you go, that's a demotion, right?
Yeah.
Clio never had a BDR team. They ran an experiment. They had 3 AE teams. One was full cycle AE called a account representative 1, then account representative 2, full cycle with a higher quota, and then their inbound AE team. So what Clio did, they got their Series D funding at $450 million and they ran an experiment. The experiment was they were going to move 6 full cycle AEs to the BDR team, the first ever BDR team, and they were going to go hire 4 external, just net new BDRs. Now, as a full cycle AE, 100% of me was being split into cold calling, closing, demoing, discovery, all that stuff. And now all I had to do was cold call, discovery, sometimes demo. So like psychologically, there was more focus, right? People say you should just sell meetings. As a full cycle AE, I understood how to sell qualified meetings. That's one important thing. We had to do discovery as well. Second thing was I hit quota 2 out of 4 months or 6 months. It was okay. It wasn't all that great. The second thing was I had some great leaders who kind of saw what I was doing. In one of my last months or so, I was booking out of segment meetings. I was finding a coder in Florida doing XYZ things. And I was booking meetings we weren't supposed to book, but my boss was like, "Saad, just keep going. Just keep going." I was like, cool. Then when this AE to BDR transition happened, there's like chaos around the company. And we was like, what's going on? So Clio decided to pay the BDRs and AEs exact same money. That does something about respect for the role. And this is what my boss said. She said, Georgina Marcus. She said, people are going to say a lot of things. Just trust me. I saw what you were doing. You're going to be in that exact same team to do just that. You're going to make a lot of money. Broke the company comp plan that to the point that that same team came back and like, hey, do you want to go back? I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Got promoted. I was only a rep for 1 year, 8 months, Rahul. Then I got the opportunity to run a BDR team, build a BDR team. So that did something. And there's one last thing there. The leads that we worked were content leads. And the talk track was we didn't call content leads MQLs. We called them AQLs, automatically qualified leads. Leads raising their hand to have a conversation, not to buy. And our talk track was, hey, what prompted your interest? Just do value drops, understand what prompted interest, take them from unawareness, awareness, consideration, purchase, understanding that these content leads are not ready to buy. They're probably at the unaware stage or the awareness stage. That kind of has led into the way I've thought about outbound signals. Just that's the basis of the operations. And I've just evolved it. Every single company I've gone to and built it, turned it into my own playbook.
Did you ever think when you started the career as an account executive, of course you had that opportunity at Clio that, hey, you know what, there's an opportunity, let me take it, or, by chance it kind of happened. But did you ever think that, I'm actually closing deals and I will go from there to becoming a BDR, breaking all the records? and eventually leading media teams, teaching people how to do this well. Was it
Hell no.
serendipity?
Hell no. Absolutely not. I was also partying a lot in university, and I just went back home for a year, not knowing if I was going to come back. Just. So there was a lot of that, just ickiness. Even when I had no idea what I was doing as an AE, learn Salesforce, learn how to talk to lawyers. I would just like rinse and repeat. We had a way to get leads through a Google sheet. My managers would be like, what are you doing? It's like, you have to get rid of your leads. And then my leads would come inbound to the people that were working them, and it would be there. So no, absolutely not. But I think somebody said this to me, that I understand patterns and trends, and kind of like, just, catalyst points. When a lot of this was happening, when I was thinking of leaving Clio, my friends were like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your career. I was like, no, there's no promotion pathway here, or it's going to get blocked off. I'm getting a brilliant leadership opportunity at a company that could be something. I didn't even know at that time what that could be something was. And by the way, to move to that role, I gave up a lot of money because there was another company on me as well. So I don't know, maybe subconsciously, when one good thing happened after having been through some bad things, I was like, I'm just going to hold on to this and do as much as possible. So I think, no, I didn't. And that's how I just kept plugging away, kept going through it.
I love that, because I think I can relate to a lot of it. I think for me, it was all serendipity as well. So I can see, a lot of successful salespeople I'm meeting, I can see that none of them kind of planned their career. I think it just happened as a part of serendipity, or you might want to call it, they took chances when they kind of felt that whole intuition that they want to go all in. And I think same thing happened with you, I guess.
Yeah. No, I like, and that's how there's a certain level of, even when we first met, there's a certain level of, I would hope, respect, not from like, oh, look, you do this work. It's from like, no, we've been initiated the same way. We've kind of gone through similar things, and you can pick them up in less words and more. And we haven't talked about a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about right now, right? But I'm sure you've had similar, if not more, experiences as well.
Yeah, I mean, in my cases, again, the experiences were a lot different. Um, I was never an AE. I kind of started as an SDR, and for me, I think the best career options I've had was always because there was somebody in my life, or there were people, who said, why don't you try this? And I'm like, okay, fine. And I kind of did, and I kept on doing the same thing, and I think that's what led me to where I am. Starting with the SDR career, I was actually a hospitality management graduate, but I never ever liked cooking. I used to hate kitchen to the core. I just can't get into the kitchen. I can't even get to my kitchen. So the only thing which I can cook properly is just the breakfast, and that too an omelet, and that's it. And I went to the US actually at 21 when I was very young, and came back after a year. After that, somebody said, hey, join American Express. I said, fine, And then somebody said, join B2B Collections. I did the same thing. So those things kind of kept on happening, unless, I realized that, no, now I can take my decision. Now I can decide what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for a lot of people, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah. Why did you go into hospitality? I'm so curious.
Very, very interesting question. So my father was an engineer, and naturally he wanted me to become one. And I hated engineering. I hated studying. I hated kind of science. I did enjoy some bits of it, like the whole practical aspect of it, like, going to the chemistry lab, blowing up things. But other than that, yeah, I hated the whole theory. I hated the whole subjects. In fact, I hated the whole concept of education when I was a kid. I don't know why, because I always liked the whole practical side of it. I was a hustler, given that I was born in Delhi. It's natural for you to compete with other people, and the whole childhood is around that. Hey, you have to compete with your cousins, and I had cousins who are in the US who are actually doing really well, and then naturally there is a competition, right, which kind of grows up. And interestingly, my school was shit, but my school did a couple of things really, really well. They took us to um, so when we were in, I think, 10th standard, they took us to like different places. Like they took us to a software company, they took us to a hotel, they took us to like a factory to give us ideas of what you can actually pursue, just get into the sense of there were people who were kind of escort us, give us the whole onboarding experience. When I went to the hotel first, I was kind of mesmerized. That was my first time. Second time visiting a five-star hotel, I'm like, okay, dude, I wanna be this, because I used to really dress up good and I used to like dressing up good. I'm like, this is a job I want, wear a suit every day. And they were telling stories of how, you would get to meet stars, celebrities, whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I definitely want that. And then I also found out that the bar to get into hospitality is very low. You do not have to study much. And I'm like, yeah, that's a thing I want. This is my getaway card, maybe, to not study much. But anyways, my parents still forced me to study the whole science, non-medical, but I kind of barely got by. And I think it turned out to be the best decision of my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
because what I learned in my 3 years of college is something which I can totally be honest. Nobody can teach me that. I
Yeah.
learned how to hustle. I started hustling from the day one. I started, I would not say smuggle. I started buying beer for $100 and started selling that for $200 in my
Love
first
that.
year.
Love that. Love
And
that.
in third year, I never attended a single class because I knew all of the things which they were teaching us was from 1994. This is 2005, and the book was printed in 1994. And because the YouTube and everything was not, that prevalent that time, and I'm like, why am I studying from these people? Like they probably haven't gone to the hotel. We're learning how to make a beer from a book written in the 1990s, when there's a YouTube video which can teach me exactly, what I want to learn in 10 minutes. So I started bartending. I completely skipped college. My parents got the whole notice that, hey, your son is not attending. I made up an excuse. My father is unwell. And I told my father I'm going to make this excuse because I'm doing something. Yeah, third year. And as a result, and in my college, I had 17 job offers before I ended the college. I did not attend a single one because I just hadn't been there for the fun, and I kind of cracked all the interviews. Yeah, after that, I think hospitality, I came to the US, worked here for a year. Yeah, too young. I don't think so. I was able to manage the whole loneliness and staying away from my parents. Yeah. After that, I quit. I realized that hotel is not where I want to have
Yeah.
a career.
But you found a lifestyle you wanted to live and you found a means to get there.
Yeah.
I have a similar story where in university did something similar. My best friend and I had a talent booking agency. I grew up a musician as well. So I learned how to DJ and stuff. My friend and I had a talent booking agency where we used to book DJs for clubs in Toronto. Let's just say living that lifestyle, I would not have graduated. And I was pulling money out of my dad would pay for tuition. I would get a refund. And one day my dad was like, "What's going on over here?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm done. Let's go back home." But then, yeah, found a way to kind of like fight through, win my dad's trust back again. I remember said this thing. I was like, if I can pass without trying, what if I tried? And I also said, I was like, I didn't do anything that you didn't do or any guy my age wouldn't do. Maybe a little dial was a little turned up more. Um, but I think these are stories people don't talk about. These are things that make us, and like you'll do things throughout your life where you're like, okay, this makes sense. This makes perfect sense. I like black sheeps. More character, more color.
Yep. Yep. I think the more I think about it, the more we talk about it, I can totally see how the childhood kind of, shapes the way you are, unless you, of course, put a conscious effort and kind of change it completely. In fact, let's talk about this. So there's always, you have been a high achiever, like seems like all your life, and there's always a moment in high achiever's life where the role and the self kind of starts to rub against each other. Did you ever feel that you were, was there a period when the work and your personal identity, let's say, started to feel out of sync?
It's a good question. Not out of sync, but it synced a bit more than it should. Like when I was a dually, uh, that was after having worked selling to lawyers and finance leaders, I found this company that's making content on LinkedIn, music videos and stuff like that. I was like, wait, you can do that? I was like, wait, hold on. It's like, it's very me and I've never had this before. I leaned into it a lot. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I actually, I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration, but you need to know kind of when it's taking an impact on you, to the point that I missed my first cousin's wedding. She's like closer to me than a sister, chasing immigration status and stuff like that. I've missed, my dad went through a massive scare, health scare at the start of this year. I couldn't go back home, to be there with my family. All around this time, I have a bad back. I have hip problems, and just sitting down and working is not good for it. All my pelvis has shifted forward. So yeah, maybe a bit over integration. But there was a time where, but also on the flip side of that, it's helped me build a community some of the best friends that I have right now, I've met them through work. I found such a deep sense of purpose and like a better sense of being as well. I'll be honest, I love it. I love what I do with a deep passion. It helped me find the self respect I in myself that I may have lost. But on the flip side of that, it's intensity. That intensity kind of bakes within you and it eats you from the inside without you not even realizing. I forgot what burnout was like and I just learned how to deal with it. And that's not right. Your body will start telling you, we've dealt with it long enough, it's breaking now. So I think this is a year where I kind of hit breaking points. That's the reason why I left the line for a variety of that's why I'm traveling across Asia right now, seeing my family, things like that. All the while, Rahul, between you and I'm 33 years old. I'm not that old, but man, I feel like my body's breaking right now. And like, I still have energy, but I feel like I can't expend it the way I want to.
I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this or who are listening to this kind of feels the same way. Some are way younger than you, some are way older than you, and probably feels it this way. And I'm pretty sure not everybody had the same courage to take the actions which you did. Like, hey, you know what? I wanna take a pause and travel, go back to my family, and I'm pretty sure all of us or some of us probably have had those sort of scenarios where they had to miss some important events like you did. Right. I think I've missed some of those events myself. And sometimes I've kind of feel guilty about it, but not so much because as you said, at that moment of time, we did the best we could. We kind of looked at, hey, you know what, there's an upside to what I'm doing. There's a momentum to what I'm building and I can't risk, breaking that. If you were to go back today, do you think you could have done something differently?
I think about this a lot. I honestly do think about this a lot. I was having this conversation with my sister the other day and I was like, what if I was in Canada? What if I was in this place? And could I have done things the same way or XYZ? And then I kind of held myself back. I was like, you know what? It's still me. Maybe the better question, could things have been better or worse? And she was like, no, you would have figured it out. But then the question remained in my head. I'm like, would I have figured it out this way? Could I have found more balance in certain things? Could I have maybe been there for some of those events? So it's something I think about a lot. And on the flip side of that, the thing that's kind of motivate, I'm that person that if I work well under pressure, I don't like to, I don't want to, but I leave things in a way that I'm like, okay, if it's cooked, like holy shit, it's about to get cooked. If I don't cook it, then I'm gonna get cooked. I just, and that's all I know, right?
I
So
can.
I do think about what would things be other way, but I don't know things any other way. I know maybe I didn't make sense there, but just yes, I think about it a lot, but I don't know anything else, unfortunately.
I hear you. And I can totally relate to a lot of things because sometimes when we know, that pressure is gonna make you do things in a certain way, we kind of leave it that way. I've been there. Totally get that. Tell me more about when did you eventually realize? Like, what was the moment of realization when you said enough is enough, and I'm gonna do it? I'm sure,
Yeah.
like you said, there were probably signs which we tend to ignore. But what was
Mm.
the breaking moment?
Yeah, when my dad got sick,
Hmm.
and I'm the oldest son, and I just felt like the ground beneath me just shifted. I cried around that time only twice in private, and that too only when two of my cousins called me who'd been through certain things. All the while, I'm telling myself, no, my situation, just things are going to be good. Things are good. There's this raw, hopeless belief maybe that I've always had in things. And I had around that time as well. Thank God we caught things early on with my dad and every single thing. But him and I had a time when we were a little distant, and after work and stuff happened, like him and I got closer together as well. So, and I would always say that like work, immigration, these things don't stress me out. But like when family kicks into gear, every single thing kicks into gear. So it was that. It was as soon as things got real with my family, I was like, yeah, this isn't worth it. None of this is worth it. None of the stress is worth it right now. Because they were saying things like, oh no, you have this going on, you have that going on. And I'm like, yeah, I do, but bullshit. how I know what matters more. And yeah, so not that things were bad, could have been better. But then as soon as that thing happened, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I also felt like I was at a point where I could say that I can take a break. And honestly, I just hit a point in my life and my career where I was like, okay, you know what? I can take a step away for a bit. So I think it was a combination of things. It was when we got aligned to Series A. Like only 3% sales leaders get to say they did that with a new category. And then after that, a lot of things started hitting me more and more. So I was like, you know what? I've done my part. I have bigger responsibilities. I'm going to go find a way to be happy. I'm not going to quit working, but I'm going to go find a way to be more stable and more happier, and making sure that I'm taking care of my family and I'm there more for them is what's a big piece of that, a massive piece of that.
I like that. Because, there's a saying, when everything breaks, you get to decide what the new version of you look like. I can see that, so you decided, hey, I'm going to prioritize my family. So any other thing which you decided after the whole new identity that, hey, I'm never gonna compromise this going forward.
I was working with people who couldn't teach me things, fortunately, unfortunately, or after a certain point. And I had people commenting on things that they had no idea about. Let's talk about signal based sales, right? I was, respectfully, knock on wood, I was one of the first sales leaders in the industry to kind of like build that entire playbook, having worked at a company that did not sell signal tools. And for somebody that has never done outbound, how are you going to come and tell me how to do signal based outbound? I'm like, wait, hold on, this is really broken. There's a wild game of broken telephone going on. I'm like, you guys have no idea what's going on. Like, I can't continue doing my work. This is not going to evolve. I'm actually going to regress as a professional, as a human being. My brain, I'm like, no, this is stupid. This is idiocy. I will not want to, I don't want to be part of this. Go make your money. There's many other companies out there. And you can guess where it happened. So yeah, that was a more related thing. I was like, I have ambitions. I still want to be a founder someday. I'm going to learn things. I'm like, I'm just benefiting others right now, which is fine. Like, that's what I signed up for. But I intentionally work at really early stage companies at borderline no revenue. I work with early stage founders so I can have the ownership or responsibility, maybe without having the cash liability. At that stage, in that way, you are the core piece of building the business and every single thing that's happening around it. And when it seems like there's always accountability for sales leaders and A's, but there's no accountability for people up above sometimes. And I was like, no. Everybody has to be held accountable. And my way to hold you accountable is, I've done my job, figure it out. That maybe sounds really asshole of me, and like the attitude that you mentioned earlier kicks in. But like, yes, there is a very intense side of me that people are really shocked when they see, like, holy shit, you can stand up for yourself. I'm like, no, I don't just stand up for myself. It's not, there's no standing up. Like, it's, companies and leaders forget that if a person that signs a contract makes a promise, you have to uphold your promise as well. But to go in many, many different ways. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, while we want to believe accountability goes both ways, however, yeah, ultimately we live in a capitalist society. We can't deny that fact. Companies would have an upper hand no matter how good of a leader we have been, or how truthful we are to our promises.
yeah.
Tell me something. We've been talking about, morals. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about how early childhood has shaped. It's I cannot. I don't think so. We can continue the conversation without bringing in the AI now, right? You and I have lived through the time when we saw AI adding and creating the unnecessary pressure on us sometimes. What do you think it did for you when you were going through so much with AI coming in some bits and parts? AI did not do anything.
Yeah. Um, I was feeling behind. It's like as soon as ChatGPT came out, I felt like so many things accelerated. Everybody figured it out. Haha, surprise, surprise, everybody. I work in tech, but I'm very slow at tech. The first thing that happened to me was, all I started seeing was the whole mind churning change, all these workflows, this, that, et cetera. And I was feeling behind. I was like, wait, hold on. I can catch up. What is going on? And I think that slowed me down, and I kind of also worked in my favor. Because first thing was FOMO, a fear of missing out. More than understanding what Clay did, more than understanding what I could do with ChatGPT, I was more worried about what I'm more missing out on. So, and that kind of like negatively, it's just, like I always told myself I'll learn, but then started going so fast. I'm like, holy shit, I'm just so behind. Like, what's the point of even learning? So that's one thing. Second thing is, I think people are burned by AI. Everybody remembers the 11x debacle, 11x of the world, what happened there, right? Everybody promised that outbound will work with AI, stuff like that. Then every CFO and every CRO went to go replace their headcount, buy these tools, because like that's cash positive for the business. And then guess what happened? Lo and behold, it didn't work, right? 11x of the world started saying that, hey, we're actually only good for inbound. Like all these other, and then all the drama happened and all that stuff. I was like, holy shit.
That's such
Yeah,
a
I didn't.
hypocrite
Yeah,
decision.
yeah. I was like, holy shit. Well, like I didn't get onto it, but I feel like I didn't miss anything, and that's when like sanity kicked in.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, cool, we're still here. And then I think something very interesting happened. I actually ran an experiment. I ran Clay at a line, and funnily enough, results dropped for us for the first for the 3 months that we deployed some Clay workflows. Like I didn't even have to build something really exciting there. All I wanted to do was like, I'm already doing this thing. We're running these plays. I want to do it 5x. Then results dropped. Babe was there with me, and then results dropped. We were doing an analysis and evaluation, and every single thing came down to my signals workflow. And like the whole idea was like, there's this, if you think about the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, right? The thermometer heats up and pops. My entire signal workflow was like, if all these data points are connecting, then we have a great story to tell. One data point is just not enough. So we're like, the best way to do it, and we were doing it so manually, we'd spend 50% of our day aggregating data and half of the rest of it selling. But that allowed us really low volume, but really high converting volume. We had like 30-40% response rates. It was crazy. It was insanity. And I was openly talking about it on LinkedIn. Then we're like, okay, cool. Let's not add a headcount. Let's buy Clay. Let's work with an agency and see if we can scale this. Our results dropped. And then when Deb and I did analysis, there was this thing where when we were like, I was just going through it, I was like, hey, why didn't we send a message to this person? Why wasn't this person there? I remember this. So there's this like human, wait, there's some like, wait, I remember that. I was like, wait, I remember this. That we found like 5 or 6 leads that would have been high converting that would just never work through that operating system. I was like, huh, interesting. So that was when I kind of like, and everybody was selling Clay as the gods, right? And I had a very interesting hypothesis. I was like, what are the sales leaders talking about Clay? It's all agency guys. Like businesses don't buy that way.
Thank you
CROs
for
don't
saying
buy
that.
that way. Yeah. CROs don't buy that way. Wait, hold on. So you have to buy a tool that costs like 30-40K a year. Then you have to hire an agency for $5,000 and then add 15K worth more headcount. Hold on. CPL is,
It's Salesforce
sorry.
all over again.
Yeah. Cost per lead is a thing. That's not how the world operates. So I think these things that also come from industry insight and knowledge, you just said it yourself as well, like, Salesforce all over again. So I think these things, experiences versus herd beliefs, help me give some sanity. And then kind of where things really start firing for me was I built my own AI agent at Align using my own workflows and playbooks that wrote some of the most incredible emails. It didn't write the emails, it gave you angles and you had to put it together. I had people, when people read those emails, they'd be like, is this AI? Can we buy this tool? I had people responding to our emails saying, how did you write this? Like, can you sell this? And that's when something clicked. I was like, huh, cool. That was kind of like and then I turned ChatGPT into my personal golf caddy. I found this tool called Pretty Prompt, which is all about like using AI is as good as you at a basic level, ChatGPT, Gemini and stuff. It's all about prompt engineering. I found this tool called Pretty Prompt by Eli. He's an ex-dancer and now he's a technical founder. He's from Argentina, living in UK right now. Incredible guy. And I was one of the early users for it. You just type in natural language, like, this is what I want to do. It takes OpenAI's prompt workflow and turn an expert prompt for you. I was like, holy
Wow.
shit, this is it.
It's like a full tool just to tell prompts.
You can look at it right now. I'm not getting paid for it. Pretty
Pretty
prompt.
prompt.
Yeah, it's a Chrome extension.
I think in the last podcast, somebody, I think Elijah also told me about a similar tool. I'm not sure what that was, but it looks pretty cool. Yeah, Grammarly for prompting.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna definitely try.
I could have easily went on a yap here and said stupid things, but like this is just really true. This is not like world end-to-end workflows or anything like that. I think that's the thing, right? AI skip some people that are building AI and adopting AI forgot that like you have to bring the common man baseline up, and then whatever needs to happen there. If somebody is on AI or technology, get them a good baseline. I think that's what I figured out. First got myself a good baseline, I would hope, and now just diving deeper as much as possible.
Amazing. Saad, I want to zoom out to the next decade now. You have lived through versions of GTM that most leaders will never experience, and that gives you perspective a lot of weight. What do you think the next generation of GTM leaders are not prepared for?
Let me ask you this. How valuable do you think the CRO role is?
I mean, in my career, I have only worked with just one company where we had a CRO, and we only hired them after we hit a certain stage and revenue number. Before that, I never felt there was a need. I did not even feel that the need was there, even when we hit the number. I think it was more of a requirement from the board or investors. I don't think so. Anybody in the company was, because my VP sales was doing a fantastic job. I don't think so. He needed a boss. I think it kind of slowed him down in a way. So, in my experience, no. But my experience could be very limited given that I've only worked with one company which had a CRO, and that
Yeah.
was 5 years ago.
Yeah. I have a hypothesis, which is the North Star metric of the ZERP era. Like, revenue is always going to be the North Star metric. But as a ZERP era, the North Star metric was revenue, but the way we got to revenue was different. It was brute force, like discovery, disqualified to qualify, disqualified to qualify. Now that we're in a world of signals and data orchestration, it's all about, let's not go after everybody. Let's just go after people that may be in market. So what's the point of disqualified to qualify? You just have to qualify, right? Then now, to get there, you need the data points. To get the data points, you need somebody that's technical and understands outbound. Because somebody that's technical that is not outbound, but somebody that understands outbound is not technical can raise their floor, right? Like, I think the BD leaders are now becoming more glorified than ever before who are technical, right? Because they need to now be data orchestrators, understand what data points and signals work. And as a byproduct, you're building pipeline that qualifies and then eventually closes. Respectfully, CROs, I have met a lot of them respectfully. They also say they understand outbound, but their outbound version, fun fact, people that are colorblind aren't actually colorblind. They just see a different version of that color. You keep saying to a colorblind person, that's yellow. They're like, no, that's not, that's blue. That's what they're always seeing, and that's what they're going to see. So where I'm going with this is that I think people aren't ready. I made this post. It's on LinkedIn. I made this post. I was like, either the CRO role is going to die, or it's going to be replaced, or it's going to be supplemented by like this North Star metric go-to-market engineer, director go-to-market engineer role, where like this person will be in the AI era with so many tools, so many data points, so much orchestration. They will lead the North Star metric, or they will be the first catalyst to the North Star metric versus just, this CRO. And people are still like this. The caveman is afraid of the spaceship, right? If the caveman sees the spaceship, they're going to freak out. What we haven't realized that I think they didn't realize that they need to go from the Stone Ages to the industrial era, and then they need to see the spaceship. And I think the spaceship came in front of them way faster than they had expected, which is like a really interesting analogy to kind of the real world we're in right now. I don't know if you're into alien conspiracy or not, but a new documentary came out called The Age of Disclosure, where the Pentagon, Marco Rubio, and all these guys have revealed that there have been secret alien programs going on. We've been visited more often, like for histories. I'm going to sound like such a kook right now, but this is all on Amazon Prime. It's a new documentary. Pentagon has released articles on this as well. But yeah, I guess it's always been there, but the caveman was just afraid of the spaceship that was kind of always in front of them, and we chose not to evolve. And now there's going to be forced evolution, which may force people to skip certain timelines, but it will be a forced evolution.
Wow. Any other belief that you feel about GTM, which you have formed that most people do not see it yet?
To your point, serendipity exists. We find solutions to problems we didn't even know existed, but then turns out others have found it as well. I have incredible respect for the likes of Elijah. Elijah's worked at Docebo, Brex. I've gone and trained Docebo's team here in Toronto on cold calling and things like that. I almost joined Docebo at a time as well. And then he was one of the first people that was like, no, you know what? Technical outbound leaders and sales leaders are going to be the future. And he's one of the folks that's leading the charge. He's a clay expert. That's not just a technical expert. He's an outbound and like, just, he's meshing both worlds together. Again, I'm not God's given gift to the earth, right? But I'm just glad that I'm not insane. Like, the things that may have been in my mind, it's serendipitous. The things that were in our minds came from our experiences, but they're out there as well. So I think some of the work we wanted to do, this is the best time ever to be in outbound, to be in sales. The technology is finally caught up for the things that we want to create and build. I don't think salespeople really had true technology that supported them. I don't mean Gong. I don't mean note-taking tools. Like, actually, hey, I have this wild dream workflow I want to build, but I want to be sales specific. And I think we're very, very, very close. I know this from personal experience. I've been working on something. I have been working with somebody who's working on something that has made AI sound human for outbound.
Wow.
And you'd be scared of the results. But not scared, I think impressed. So yeah, that's
Scarily impressed.
yeah, it's happening faster. The caveman afraid of the spaceship is happening faster than I'm one of them, by the way. It's happening faster than many might imagine.
My final question to you, all right? While as leaders, we have, of course, had the benefit of, testing the technology more often than we can. What about the next wave of people who are entering the workforce? They may not have the same expertise. They may not have the same money to test so many tools.
Yeah.
And they might be at the mercy of what is given to them. What would be the one advice would you give them so that they are ready, more than ready?
Yeah, I'm seeing something happen. Reps are getting some level of success, and people, young people are getting some level of success. Even people that transition into a new industry are getting level of success. And they're like, you know what, I'm going to go start my agency, do this and do that, etc., etc. This is how I've lived my career. Everybody can do. I intentionally chose not to go off on my own. I do have a consulting business based on which I've been introduced to some of the companies I'm working at, some of the companies I've consulted, like Hyperbound, SensePark, Nomatic, etc., etc. But I always told myself, Rahul, that like any good that's happened has come from like a lateral, like career move that I've made. Like when I became a manager, I got my first advisory gig. When I became a senior or director, I got XYZ. When I was at Align getting into Series A, I got introduced to Hyperbound, which is like one of my biggest pride and joys. One of the first AI tools in the market. You might be a little familiar with Hyperbound as well. And staying in seat or staying in jobs or learning certain skills there, I think it's incredibly important. I think a lot of these new kids, they're going to see some new level of success and they're like, we're ready. Guess what? Everybody else is thinking that way as well. Like you're not beating competition. You're actually finding yourself in way more competition. On the flip side of that, if you become a top rep at a company, doors will open for you in that company. Your leaders are going to give you the opportunity to try new things because like that's how leaders work, right? We're not on the ground, but we have our soldiers on the ground that tell us what to do, help us understand what to do. I think there's a lot of merit in turn a weakness to strength and strength to second nature. Put your head down for a bit, grind, earn your stripes while doors open. And also, we're in an era where people are smarter than ever right now. There's also a lot of going against them in terms of just, stressors and things like that. But can you imagine growing up in this world right now where just like there's people had AI in their hands? Literally in their phone. Like we didn't have that. I didn't have any of that. I had to review 3 calls, Rahul, to create a transcript. It used to take me 3 hours. It took me 30 seconds last night. I just put the entire transcript, all the calls, the answers I wanted filled. I was like, done. Now, but we've learned how to do that, right? We've learned how to do call reviews and things like that. Versus I actually gave one of my reps a task the other night. I was like, please review these calls. Don't use AI. I want you to find patterns and trends. Please.
Were they successful?
I have no idea if they did it. I have no idea if they did it. I got the answers. I have no idea if it wasn't manually. So
I can see where you're coming from, because it's like if I ask one of my nephew, hey, can you find a cab? I think his natural reaction is to go to Uber and find a cab. He would not know the world existed before this, where you had to call a company or, basically, howl at the cab. And, say, hey, I want a taxi. So I can totally see. I think we do have the advantage. I'll tell you. I mean, that's what at least I like to tell myself every day. Oh, we are better. We are better than them. But I see your perspective. Okay. Final question. I'm really sorry.
No, sir.
While we just discuss what is the advice for them, and I think it has merit that you join a stable company. But let's be honest, there will be more and more companies popping up, and all the new reps, all the people who are trying to enter the workforce right now will always everybody wants a stable job. Everybody wants that stability at the back of the mind. But there is also a merit in taking risk. How do they decide what companies to take risk with? Because everybody sounds like the same. Everybody says, oh, we are the best AI-powered agent, whatnot.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, take risks. Go with your gut instinct as well. Once you do it more and more, you're going to find patterns.
Yeah.
You have to start. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. Blink is the story of gut instinct. Gut instinct is something inherited. Like there's a few things you know more than anything, which is breathing. And since you've grown up, your brain is like processing people and like how they see. And when you meet somebody and you go like, you know what, that person's my cup of tea. It's not this like weird fugazi thing. It's like years of like processing data and people, et cetera, and your brain telling you. And when you go against it, that's when you're doing yourself a disservice. So start with taking leaps of faith. Find ways to trust people. Once you do it once or twice, you're going to find your formula. Somebody said this to me once. Ross, CEO of Accord, which is a competitor of Alliance, a good friend of mine, good friend. Just, we're good in the communities in Toronto as well. He said this to me once. He was like, Saad, you really know how to pick your companies. Again, not a God-given gift, but just kind of happen after once or twice, repetitive patterns, understanding people, and be open. Don't be boxed. When you show your personality to people, others see your personality, and that's when you find the right people that will buy into you. You may have picked up from this conversation just through our conversation. I'm not atypical. I'm not the boxed and exec that people will say that's how execs should look like and that's what they should do. I don't even know if I'm an exec. I don't care, and I generally don't. That's what I would say. Take risks. Take risks, then take more risks so you learn which risks are good and worth taking, worth not. Don't just like take out of the box advice from people because everybody gives advice at their endpoint, not how they got to their endpoint. Start figuring out how to be open to people and see who's going to buy into you. You don't need 10 people to buy into you. You need just the ones and twos. And then something really interesting happens when you're like, this risk is worth it because these people are worth it. Magical things happen after that.
Love that. This has been the most phenomenal, most honest conversation I've had with anybody, Saad. I'm not going to lie about that. And I think you should start your own podcast.
I've been told that quite a lot. A lot of people have said
See,
that.
again, you need to act on your gut then. If your gut is telling you,
Yeah.
10 people are telling you you're good at it, you better start. I can help you with that.
Yes, I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Saad. This is truly amazing, man. I know we went over time. I think we pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. And I think this will be hell of a podcast.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm also glad like the timing is also good. Like just like, relax. I'm worried about a lot of things right now, etc. Well, there's always worries, but just, good setting to do it. So yeah, I'm glad this is good. Thank you also for asking questions that actually help me talk about things that make me versus things that you just, like signals work, all that stuff. You can Google that. You can find that on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, yeah. I think I also spend the most amount of time on researching what to ask, to be honest. And I think in other cases, it's kind of natural because you're talking about work. I think these are the conversations which you normally don't have at this length. So yeah, it also required me to think about a lot of things. But thank you for being a sport and, being candid about everything, showing the vulnerable side. Yeah, let's catch up again, man.
Amazing. A pleasure, my friend.
Much.
I'll talk to you
Have
soon.
a good one.
See you,
Take care.
Bye.